There's one word that will take any ordinary person and take them down a road towards impact. The word intentional. It's overused in some contexts and even abused in some context. But that word, when you apply it to different parts of your life, it'll change the legacy that you leave. If you're more intentional with your relationships, you'll see healing and restoration. You'll see peace. If you are more intentional with your job, you'll see opportunity. If you're more intentional with your money, with your budget, you'll see some freedom financially. If you're more intentional with what you consume, you'll see your mind walk a little bit more freely with some more peace. It's almost in opposition to the idea of living a comfortable life. You're going to walk two very different paths if you choose to live intentionally versus living comfortably. And I'm not just talking about the stuff you own and having a comfortable home, but I'm talking about the idea of building purpose into your life. It's going to require a level of discomfort. It's going to require boundaries and saying no. It's going to require you to put up some disciplines. Intentional and comfortable are almost in opposition to each other. There are three pieces that I think are pretty critical to any aspect, any picture of intentionality. The first is I think it's purposeful. It's choosing to do something on purpose with intention. That's the idea. And so take this and apply it to your relationship. I want to be purposeful in my interactions. And so I start to think more about what I'm going to say. I'm more careful with my words when I'm choosing to be intentional. I'm more thoughtful with how I'm saying things when I'm really prioritizing my intentionality. I pursue people better when I'm saying, okay, I'm going to be purposeful in how I care for this person. I'm not just waiting for an opportunity, I'm going out of my way. I think of when you interact with somebody in passing because you just happen to see them and you choose to be polite. That's cool, but that's not purposeful. I mean, it would be kind of rude to step over them if they had fallen down, right? So it's not necessarily intentional. Like I picture Allen Iverson stepping over Ty Lue. If you did that in the grocery store when somebody fell down, it'd be rude. So helping them up is the right thing to do. But that doesn't mean it's purposeful and intentional. And again, you're right. You could have made the other choice. Now, if you saw them and you ran across the parking lot to go help them, that's different. You choose to go out of your way. There's a purpose to the interaction. I'm applying this to my own life as a husband and as a father. Even as a dad, I feel, I feel things too. I throw adult tantrums. My kids are learning from me, so I have to show them I'm going to be purposeful with my interactions with them because that's what the healthy thing to do is. And so I go back to them and I apologize when I make those mistakes. I choose to be purposeful with my interactions. And I come home and I'm tired and I can choose to just sit there and veg out on the couch or scroll, even though my kids are running around and playing with me, wanting to play with me. So I have a choice. Am I going to just let my life slip away like dust? Or am I going to craft it and mold it and choose to be purposed in my interactions? Some days I'm better at that than others. Some days I'm better at that than others. And that's the truth. The second thing I think every intentional piece of your life will require is the idea of discipline. And I'm not talking about you're up at 3 a.m. every morning to do this and that, although for some of you, that might be it. I know for me, my morning workouts at 4:30 are my healthiest thing. That's when I'm most joyful and energized. But there are seasons of life where that's not the case. And so I'm not talking about a rule, a specific structure that has to happen a certain way, but I am talking about for intentionality to really show up, it's going to require discipline. It's going to require habits that are steady, that you are forcing yourself to do something that might be uncomfortable or painful because it's good and healthy. The discipline of eating vegetables is a good thing long term. The discipline of reading books is a good thing long term. Short term, neither one carries the dopamine that we want. You don't get the sugar rush from vegetables. You don't get the dopamine hit from scrolling, or that you would from scrolling. And so you choose to be disciplined anyway. And when you become undisciplined, when you fall out of those habits, you choose to go back to your purposeful choices, and you go back to those disciplines. You try to refine what that looks like in your life. If you choose and allow yourself to be undisciplined, then long term, you're choosing comfort, but it's going to lead to discomfort. It's more comfortable to sleep in your bed an extra hour or two. It doesn't cost you anything right now. It becomes easier and easier and easier so that when you're 50, you can't get out of bed early, despite your kid wanting to wake you up, despite the need to get up because a job demands differently. Intentionality is purposeful and it is disciplined. It takes discipline to reach out to somebody. If you're choosing to be intentional in relationships, it's going to require discipline for you to choose to write them a note, to give them a call, to have the space in your life, the margin in your life to care for people well requires discipline. The third thing that I believe an intentional life requires is some sort of vision. You see, people have to be vision oriented to see long term. Stephen Covey talks about beginning with the end in mind. It's casting a vision and saying, this is where I want to be. Because I know where I want to be, I'm intentional in my pursuit of that. I'm purposed in my pursuit of that. And now I know what building blocks I need to get there. But if you don't know where you're going, man, it's really hard to end up there. You have to be purposeful in your steps there and disciplined in your steps there, but it requires you to have a vision. Where am I even going? For me, I want to be somebody who is a person of wisdom and a person of holy faith and a person who is intentional and cares about his family and friends and community well. And if that's the legacy I want to leave, if that's what I want people to say at my funeral, and that informs what I do now. It informs what jobs I take. It informs what books I read, what I spend my time doing. My vision informs my disciplines. My purpose is what keeps them going. You have to have a vision for your life. And that vision is going to change sometimes. In different seasons, it looks different ways. But if you don't cast a vision, you won't know where you're going. Imagine going on a road trip and saying, well, I don't know where I'm going. That's fine. And some people do that. You have a great time, this unknown, but you know you're coming back. If you have an idea of like, oh, I want to go west, all right, you've cast a vision now. And the more vision you can cast, man, the more you can actually be intentional with your time and energy. I think there is something fun about the serendipitous moments and the spontaneous opportunities. But even to know which ones to go for and which ones to avoid requires you to have a vision for your life. It requires you to have an idea of where you want to be. Even the opportunity, if you're on a road trip and you say, I don't know where I want to go, well, the purpose and the discipline of your money is going to inform what you can and can't do. And so if you're living your life with this idea of like, well, I'll figure out 40 when I get to 40. Well, your opportunities at 40 are going to be limited by your lack of discipline and your lack of purpose now. And so maybe at 40, you say, my vision is I want to have opportunities and options at 40. then that requires some specific choices now in your 20s and in your 30s. It requires you to have purpose and discipline. So it's all tied together. But none of this is comfortable. It might give you opportunities to be comfortable, might have moments of comfort. It's not a comfortable life. It requires me to get up early. It requires me to do work when I'm tired. It requires me to be uncomfortable, to call people and have uncomfortable conversations. I care about people enough that I want to have good relationships with those people, but I have to be intentional because good relationships don't happen accidentally. And maybe they do for a season. Maybe it's like, yes, this friendship is beautiful and we just happen to make it happen. What happens when you disagree? You choose to have a hard conversation, or you do what's comfortable and you avoid it. You want to be intentional, you have to be disciplined and purposeful as you pursue a vision. So here's my challenge for you. Write down a vision. Where do you want to be 10 years from now? And I'm not just talking about what job or but like, who do you want to be? Do you want to be a person that's healthy? Write out what that looks like. Do you want to be a person that is known in the community because of their work and the way they care for people? Write that down. And then once you know where you're going, you can start to write down the steps it takes to get there. You know what purpose and discipline needs to happen today and tomorrow. That's what I got for you. I hope it blesses you and challenges you.